Hey guys, welcome back to another video. If it's your first time here, hi, my name is Jess. Welcome. So as you can see by the title of today's video, I'm going to be sharing my July reading wrap up as well as the books that I plan on reading in the month of August. So this here is the stack of books that I read in the month of July. So I'm going to be going through each one, sharing my rating, a brief review, as well as some info on each book. So if you are interested in getting all the tea on what I thought of each of these books, make sure that you keep on watching. And as always, I will try and link all the books that I featured in this video down below in the description box. All right, so let's get into it. So first I'm going to dive into the reading wrap up, and I also want to mention that this video is going to be spoiler free. There will be no spoilers for any of the books mentioned in this video. So the first book that I read in the month of July was this one right here. This one is Swift and Saddled by Lyla Sage. This is book 2 in the Rebel Blue Ranch series, and it follows Ada Hart, an independent interior designer who is rebuilding her life after a failed marriage and a career setback. When she lands a high-profile project at a Wyoming ranch, she heads to Meadowlark ready to focus on her career, but a chance encounter in a dive bar leaves her both flustered and intrigued. When she arrives at the ranch the next day, the mysterious cowboy she's been thinking about turns out to be her new boss. Despite Ada's emotional walls and professional boundaries, there's undeniable chemistry between them. With tension growing both on the job and off, they must figure out whether work can remain strictly business or whether they'll risk everything for a chance at something more. Now, some of the tropes featured in this book are grumpy sunshine, workplace romance, forced proximity, slow burn romance, a found family, and there's also mental health representation in this book. So I ended up rating this book 4.5 stars. I love the small town ranch life setting in this series. I also thought the romance was really sweet. He falls first. I really enjoyed the moments of vulnerability between the two main characters in this story. So overall, it was a quick, fun, and easy read. So I did continue with the series and picked up book 3, which is Lost and Lassoed, again by Lyla Sage. So this story follows Teddy Anderson, who's a free spirit who's always gone with the flow until now. When her longtime best friend gets engaged, Teddy suddenly feels stagnant as everything she once relied on starts shifting. Meanwhile, Gus Ryder, a dependable cowboy and single dad, is stretched thin managing his family's sprawling ranch while caring for his 6-year-old daughter all summer. Despite their mutual dislike, circumstances force them together when Teddy is hired to help with childcare. As summer days unfold, what starts as a begrudging cooperation evolves into unexpected warmth and deeper feelings stirred against their better judgment. Now, some of the key tropes featured in this book are enemies to lovers, small town cowboy romance, single dad ex-nanny, best friend's brother, found family, and grumpy sunshine. So I did end up giving this book 5 stars, and if I'm not mistaken, this is the only 5-star read from the month of July, and it's just because it was giving me all the feels. So this one has the same setting that I love. I love the banter between the two main characters, and also the relationship between the FMC and her dad is a bit of a subplot in this story, and it did make me emotional. I'm not gonna lie, I did cry. And so overall, I felt that this book was a lot more emotional than the previous one, which is why it got a higher rating. And then the last book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series is Wild and Wrangled, and this one follows Camille Ashwood, who has always had a plan, and her next big move is marrying to provide security for her daughter and ease parental pressures. But when she's left heartbroken at the altar, everything falls apart. With no place to go, she ends up renting a cherished house in Meadowlark, Wyoming, only to discover that her neighbor is none other than Dusty Tucker, her first true love. Dusty, who spent years running from his past and his feelings for Cam, now finds her right at his doorstep. As they circle each other in familiar territory, old wounds and whispered what-ifs resurface. For Cam and Dusty, what started as a second chance rooted in history might just reveal if first love can truly last a lifetime. Now, some of the tropes featured in this book are second chance romance, friends to lovers. There's also flashbacks and a dual timeline in this book. It's a slow burn romance, there's love letters involved, and there's also forced proximity. So my overall rating for this book was 4.5 stars, and this was my first time reading a second chance romance, and I did really enjoy it. It moved really fast despite it having a dual timeline with flashback chapters. I found it pretty easy to read. It's in the same setting of Meadowlark, Wyoming, which I absolutely love. It just gives you that like small town cozy feeling. Like if you love the Chestnut Spring series, trust, I think you're going to be a fan of this. But I also thought that the friends to lovers aspect in this book was really sweet. So I had a fun time reading this. I had a fun time reading the entire Rebel Blue Ranch series, and they're also on the shorter side, so they're pretty quick to get through as well. So definitely recommend this series if you are a lover of a small town cowboy romance. The small town cowboy romance does not stop there because we have Hopeless by Elsie Silver, which is the last book in the Chestnut Springs series. And this book was really good. So a bit about this book is, in the charming small town of Chestnut Springs, Bo Eaton, a decorated military veteran crippling with PTSD, seeks peace after his tour. Meanwhile, Bailey Jensen, an outcast bartender with a tarnished family reputation, dreams of escaping her past. When Bo proposes a fake engagement, offering Bailey his respected name in exchange for pretending to be his fiancé, Bailey sees a chance to gain acceptance. What begins as a calculated arrangement unexpectedly deepens into genuine connection as the line between pretend and real blurs. Both find healing, belonging, and perhaps even love in the least expected place. Now, some of the key tropes in this book are fake relationship, opposites attract, protective MMC, he falls first. There's also an age gap in this, and I believe it's 13 years if I'm not mistaken, and there's also forced proximity. So in the end, I did end up giving this book 4.5 stars. There were just so many things that I enjoyed about this book, from the banter between the two main characters, the found family aspect of it all, the redemption arc, how damaged but yet devoted the main characters are to one another, I thought was really sweet. There's also mental health representation in this book that's really vulnerable. So all in all, it's fast-paced, entertaining, and emotional. And this book is pretty heavy on the spice, just an FYI. If you couldn't tell, I was really in the mood to read some cowboy romance books, but that is it. No more cowboy romances for the rest of this video. But next up, I have Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. So this story follows veterinarian Xavier Rush, who meets Samantha Diaz when she brings in a rescued kitten for treatment. Despite a rocky first impression, they share a magical, unforgettable first date, only for Samantha to reveal that she's moving across the country the next morning to care for her sick mother in California. As unexpected as their connection was, neither can forget the other. Against mounting odds, 2,000 miles of distance, family responsibilities, and financial strain, they strive to keep what they found alive. Now, some tropes featured in this book are long-distance relationship, opposites attract, family obligations. There's also realistic relationship struggles, but it is sort of like an insta connection and still love type of romance. So I rated this book 3 stars, and I've come to realize that Abby Jimenez books are not as cute and fluffy as the covers make them out to be. Like, tell me that you see this and you don't think, oh, this is going to be a cute and fluffy romance, right? I mean, it looks light, cute, and fluffy, but it's not. So this is now my second book by this author, and I've noticed that this one too had some family drama and obligations that could be hard for some to read. And if I'm being so honest with you, I did find it a bit overwhelming at times to read myself, and that could have been because I was dealing with a lot of family stuff at the time. So I think the book was maybe just hitting a little too close to home, but both characters in this story do carry a lot of emotional baggage, but they do find growth and comfort in one another. Now, I did listen to 90% of the audiobook on Spotify, but then I ran out of listening hours, so I did have to read the last 10% of it, and overall, it was an okay book. I felt the writing just overused modern internet slang, which wasn't really my favorite, but I do think that it'll be funny to look back at a few years from now. I kind of feel like the book is sort of a time capsule for how we communicated in 2025. So up next, I have book 1 in the Dreamland Billionaires series, which is The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. So this story follows Rowan Kane, the emotionally guarded heir to a family empire. He must spend 6 months revitalizing Dreamland, a magical theme park, in order to secure his inheritance. Zara Gillian, bright, creative, and unexpectedly promoted after offering a bold critique of the park, becomes his unlikely collaborator. As their personalities clash, his brooding control versus her infectious optimism, a slow-burning attraction ignites. Amid workplace challenges, family pressure, and hidden truths, both must navigate personal growth and the possibility of something real and lasting beyond the fine print of their lives. Some of the key tropes featured in this book are grumpy sunshine, workplace romance, slow burn romance, hidden identity, and billionaire MMC. So I did end up giving this book 3 stars. I liked the hidden identity aspect of it all. I thought it was super entertaining. The MMC in this story is emotionally unavailable. He carries a lot of pressure, and then the FMC deals with a lot of insecurity and self-doubt, but both go through major personal growth throughout the story. So overall, it was a good read. So I did continue with the rest of this series, and so book 2 is Terms and Conditions. And this story follows a Declan Kane who is poised to take the helm of his family's media empire. But there's a catch. His grandfather's will stipulates that he must be married and have a child before inheriting. In a bold move, his assistant, Iris, volunteers to step in. What begins as a business-savvy solution morphs into something much more complex as their contract starts to blur the lines between business and genuine emotion. Declan never intended to care, and Iris never intended to fall. But real love may just surprise them both. So the key tropes in this story are marriage of convenience, friends to lovers, universe, slow burn romance, workplace romance, and forced proximity. I personally like this book a lot more than the first in the series. I love a protective MMC, and Declan Kane is that guy. I also love how headstrong the FMC in this story is. I love how she takes charge, she's assertive, she's emotionally intelligent, and she also challenges the MMC. And I think because I like each character individually and more so when they're together is why this story got a higher rating than the first. And the final book in this series is Final Offer. This one follows Callahan Kane, who returns to Lake Wisteria, and he's tasked by his grandfather's will to spend the summer at the family lake house before reselling it, only to find Lana Castillo, his childhood best friend, first love, and the only person who truly knew him, living there as a co-owner along with her young daughter. The arranged task forces Cal to confront the past he ran from and the woman whose heart he broke. As old wounds and lingering feelings resurface, Cal must decide what matters more, safeguarding his inheritance or rebuilding what he lost. Key tropes in this are second chance romance, found family, small town setting, reformed bad boy, single mom, and it's a slow burn romance. So I gave this 4 stars, and this was my second time reading a second chance romance. The first one was Wild and Wrangled by Lyla, and I've got to say I enjoyed this plotline, this storyline a lot more than Wild and Wrangled. This one had a lot more emotional depth as well as layered emotional growth and healing. Part of the story follows the MMC's journey towards redemption and forgiveness, which I found really moving. It does talk about struggles with addiction, which can be difficult for some people to read. Now, I did get teary-eyed several times while reading this. So because I found the book to be moving, it made me a little emotional. I did give it 4 stars. And the final book that I read in the month of July is In 5 Years by Rebecca Serle. So this story follows Danny Cohen, a driven Manhattan lawyer who has milestones meticulously mapped out: her career, her engagement, her life at age 30. That night, after securing her dream job and accepting her fiance's proposal, she falls asleep and wakes as someone else entirely, in a different apartment, engaged to someone she's never met, and living a different version of her life, an hour exactly 5 years into the future. When she's jolted back to 2020, she brushes it off as a surreal dream. Then 4.5 years later, she meets a man who looks like the one from that strange vision. As the story unfolds, Danny begins to question everything she thought she wanted and confronts the unexpected power of fate, friendship, and what truly matters in life. Some featured tropes in this story are premonitions, there's a love triangle, emotional healing, second chance at love and life, and there's also a personal growth journey in this story. So my final rating for this was 3.5 stars, and this was unlike anything I've read so far this year, and I really appreciated that. It was a good palate cleanser, and not because it was light and fluffy, but because of the shift in the storytelling style. Now, while this book does contain some romantic elements, I personally wouldn't classify it as a romance novel. It's more of a contemporary fiction novel with themes of personal growth, grief, friendship, and the tension between destiny and choice. Now, like I said, the story does have some romantic elements, but the romance isn't conventional. The emotional focus leans more on self-discovery and female friendship. But now I will say, I did find the ending to be a bit unexpected. Like, I didn't really see it ending that way. But overall, I did like the way that the storyline happened, the way it ended, and I also did get a bit teary-eyed with this one as well. So those were all the books that I read in the month of July. I didn't think any of them were bad. I thought all of them were good reads. Some of them I liked more than others, obviously, as you saw with my ratings, but I do recommend them all. I think they're all pretty good. So those are what I read in July. Now, to talk about what I'm going to be reading in the month of August, it's not going to be too long because it's just one whole series that I'm going to be reading, and I am so excited about it. Spoiler, minor spoiler, I did already start with this series because, like I said in my last video, I have no self-control when it comes to books. I buy them and I immediately want to read them. And so that's just kind of what happened. But it is August, so it's fine. Let me quickly grab my stack of the books that I'm going to be reading in August. So this right here is the stack of books that I plan on reading in the month of August, and all of these are from the Magnolia Parks universe by Jessa Hastings. So to give you a quick spoiler-free synopsis on this series, the Magnolia Parks universe is a stylish, emotionally rich contemporary series set in the heart of London's elite social scene. The Magnolia Parks universe follows a group of beautifully broken characters navigating love, heartbreak, heartbreak, loyalty, betrayal, and identity. At its center is the on-again, off-again relationship between socialite Magnolia Parks and bad boy BJ Ballantyne, two people who can't let each other go, but can't seem to get it right either. Told across multiple interconnected storylines and points of view, the series explores what it means to love someone deeply, even when it hurts, and whether soulmates are always meant to last. So this is a series that I'm going to be reading in the month of August. I'm currently on book 3, and I am eating it up. Let me just say, if you love Gossip Girl, I think you're going to eat up this book. There is so much messiness, like just how Gossip Girl is just like a cluster of everyone just kind of getting intertwined with everyone, and how there's so much endless drama. That is basically Magnolia Parks. It's just set in the UK instead of it being set in New York City. And it is just messier, it's more toxic, and I'm just eating it up. The amount of tears that I've already shed, and I'm just like barely at the start of book 3. I was on chapter 6, and I was already getting teary-eyed. That's how unwell I am right now. And I'm rooting for everyone in this love story because I love Magnolia and BJ, and I love Daisy and Christian. So we'll see. We'll see how I feel at the end of all of this. And that, you guys, wraps up the end of this video. Comment down below a book that you read in the month of July, or if you've just made it to this part of the video, comment down below a book emoji. And if you did enjoy watching, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you aren't subscribed yet, please subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell. That way you are notified every time I upload a brand new video. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you so much, and I'll be seeing you in my next one. Bye!